Parts of Chinatown in the Solomon Islands capital of Honiara remain in ruins. This was the scene of violent anti-Chinese riots just over 6 months ago. The incident set off a chain of events that led to an unprecedented security alliance with China, sending ripples across the Pacific.
The security pact between China and Solomon Islands ringing alarm bells in Australia.
We are a sovereign nation, and we do not answer to the Western media.
This is the worst foreign policy blunder that we've seen in the Pacific since World War II.
The Chinese Foreign Minister's recent whirlwind tour of the Pacific, a meeting with Solomon Islands Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare, confirmed the extent of Beijing's Pacific ambitions.
It heralds a new era of geostrategic competition because it shows that China wants to have a deeper relationship with countries that have traditionally been aligned with the West.
But it hasn't gone all China's way, with 10 Pacific nations rejecting Beijing's multilateral security and development pact. And even in the Solomon Islands, it's still unclear how this will all play out.
China, with all its power, all its might, does not really understand the Pacific.
And I would think that even within Mr. Sogavare's government, there are members of Parliament who would have qualms about just what this agreement might mean.
Manasseh Sogavare has been the driving force behind the Solomons' move towards Beijing. He's a veteran politician who has served multiple terms as Prime Minister, famously locking horns with Australia during his second term back in 2006.
You know, it is a serious concern when you have one country dominating, Ramsey.
Ramsey, or the Regional Assistance Mission to the Solomon Islands, was an Australian-led operation from 2003 to 2017 to help the country deal with ethnic violence. James Batley is a former Australian diplomat who led the mission when the dispute with Prime Minister Sogavare blew up.
I think the relationship's been pretty up and down over quite a long period of time. I don't think Mr. Sogavare has any real experience and background in Australia, so I don't think he's got natural sympathies there.
Despite this, Prime Minister Sogavare once again turned to Australia when his country needed assistance after last November's riots.
I think it's very much the first instinct of governments in Solomon Islands to look to Australia, partly because of our history there, partly because of the distance involved.
Australia did answer the call, but behind the scenes, China was making a pitch for a groundbreaking security deal involving military access to the Pacific nation. This remains secret until the leaking of a wide-ranging draft agreement in March.
What keeps security planners in Canberra awake at night is the possibility of a Chinese naval base somewhere in the Pacific.
While the agreement alarmed Australia, it also caused consternation within Solomon Islands.
I think there will always be opposition to relationship with China in the Solomons, and that's not surprising.
Sogavare is not short of controversy. He will come up with one that will trigger, another riot or another demonstration.
Rick Ho is a former governor of the central bank, a former prime minister, and is now a Solomon Islands MP who strongly opposes the China Pact.
Who knows what will happen? Instead of calling the Australians, he might be calling the Chinese military here. I don't know, but that's very, very possible.
Prime Minister Sogavare confirmed this during an interview with Chinese TV.
If there's a riot here and we cannot handle it locally, we will need all our friends to come on board to help us.
There is the prospect that we'll have a situation where you have both Chinese security forces and Australian security forces on the ground at the same time. And given the radically different backgrounds of our two countries, that's a potentially quite difficult situation.
The new Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong has made 2 trips to the Pacific in her first fortnight in the portfolio. While foreign affairs policy remains substantially the same, the Labor government notably places a greater emphasis on climate change.
There's no doubt that Australia's reluctance to cut emissions at home impacted on relations with Pacific Island countries, including with the Solomon Islands.
But rhetorical change alone won't be enough to change the relationship. And China has made it clear it won't be going away in the Solomons and beyond.
I think fundamentally the Albanese government will be grappling with the same set of issues.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.